Welcome to News Nation, where right and left come to be reasonable. Please don't miss the forest for the trees with these demonstrations. We have bigger issues than the political and legal battles that are playing out about ICE or deploying troops. They matter, but not as much as what I want to talk to you about. We have bigger problems at play on streets all over our country.
Let's talk about what's really happening without sugarcoating anything. Because this ain't just people getting together to express frustrations, because somehow it's bigger. It's moving beneath the surface and it's connected to power, influence, and strategy. Donald Trump has been pressing hard to figure out who's actually funding these protests. And the federal government is not just watching, it's actively trying to track the movements of money, pulling donor lists, and investigate networks working behind the scenes. See, protests, they don't just materialize out of thin air and just come from nowhere. With this level of coordination and structure, there has to be some funding behind this. But the president has been directed about his belief that these demonstrations are not spontaneous, that they're backed by some type of outside force that's given them financial backing. Now they got the Internal Revenue, the IRS, they're in pursuit as well. And they're searching for documentation to prove it. And once they find documentation, they're promising us that his will roll, y'all.
Overnight, hundreds of police in riot gear facing down protesters for a fourth consecutive night of clashes. The administration now making the unprecedented move of dispatching 700 active duty Marines to the streets of Los Angeles and increasing the California National Guard presence to over 4,000. Throughout much of the day, a quiet tension had settled over the city. That didn't stop the administration from bypassing the governor, who said he did not ask for this support and doesn't want it. The overnight, California Governor Gavin Newsom mocking the deployments.
The absurdity of this cannot be understated. There were 2,000 National Guard that were, quote unquote, deployed, of which only 315 actually were mission assigned. 1,700 have no particular role or responsibility.
Embattled LA Mayor Karen Bass warning that Trump might be using LA as a trial run for other cities.
A test case for what happens when the federal government moves in and takes the authority away from the state or away from local government. I don't think that our city should be used for an experiment. Well, maybe we can do this to other cities.
Earlier in the day, the president suggesting that Newsom should be happy he sent in the military, that Southern California was a, quote, mess. He even suggested it might be a good idea if his border czar, Tom Homan, arrested the California governor.
I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great.
You know, I'm interested in hearing y'all take on it, so drop a note in the comment section. But while you're down there, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you'll be reminded every time Political Detox releases another video. Federal investigators are getting in on the chew in the Department of Homeland Security. Now they're reviewing bank transactions, looking into organizations and tracking financial routes just to see how deep the funding goes. Certain groups, they just claim that they're simply supporting justice. But Trump's administration is saying that they are responsible for financially sustaining and they're encouraging this disruption. And if the investigators prove that these demonstrations were structured and financially managed, expect arrests, lawsuits, and some intense political conflict. Every network should be reporting on this.
Dozens of protests have erupted throughout the country. You know that, right? We're focused on LA, but they're all over the place. And they are all related, and we're not talking about it. So we're doing the work here at News Nation to connect the dots, and I have a lawmaker on tonight that's starting the same drive in Congress. And I'm telling you, these protests are not really just about ICE. They are a coordinated effort to recruit as many people and different types of groups that may have different ideas, but they all share a common goal: destroying the West, democracy, our country. This is the fundamentalist threat playing out. We're just not calling it that because we're not seeing it like that because we're so caught in this right versus left BS. The latest salvo, after the embassy shootings, the IVF clinic, the healthcare CEO murder, the campus chaos, now it's these. It's all part of a growing fundamentalism that is the biggest threat to all of us. You got neo-nationalists in the same place as far-left radical anarchists and extreme Islamists. This is not organic. It's not just protest. It's not one community coming together to fight oppressive tactics. It's not really about ICE, I'm telling you. And most important and most dangerous is that there's clearly organization and funding of these protests. Two questions: who and why?
All right, let's continue with this. I want you to focus on the fact that President Trump ain't finished yet. Now, his next move is he's focusing on the flow of money. And he's bringing in auditors to identify the pathways that some of these financial transfers are being connected to these protesters. And one news article read that the National Guard in the United States have already been positioned in response to the increase in the unrest. And the Department of Justice officials, they're looking for evidence just to determine whether criminal charges should be filed. And these charges will not only be aimed at individuals participating in the demonstrations, but also at the groups responsible for financially supporting them. The demonstration started after large-scale immigration raids led by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, ICE, resulted in the capture of hundreds of undocumented immigrants throughout Los Angeles. And this is where legal battles escalated. The situation is no longer just about immigration. It's now about the extent of control that state governments have compared to federal power. So it's a battle between them two. And California's top officials they're actively just pushing back on Trump's administration. And the thing that he wants to do, they're not for it. And the thing about it is that whether or not it's good or bad, it doesn't matter, long as he's the one that implemented it. And if there could be credit shown in his direction, they're not for it. It's just a bad idea, off the bat. No questions asked. Some California leaders, they also stated that Trump is using immigration enforcement as a way to intimidate undocumented communities and push his own political plan. But Trump hit back saying that California's policies itself, it makes it almost impossible to carry out enforcement measures without federal involvement.
Now, let's start with the truth. It's not uncommon for protests to receive funding and organization from political groups. I had a guy on the show who pays people to protest. I mean, that's a thing. Okay, but not these. These protests are fed by dark sources with a desire for our destruction. One of the main players in organizing and funding the Los Angeles protests is a group called CHIRLA, okay? CHIRLA, acronym, Coalition for Humane Immigration Rights, Immigrants' Rights, whatever. Dig a little, and that starts to look like a misnomer. They have received millions in government grants and state grants, but now reports are showing that there may be a foreign link, specifically from China, funding and organizing these protests. Where in China? Who in China? The pro-Chinese far-left Party for Socialism and Liberation. They're known as the PSL. They are working with CHIRLA, helping fund the protests in Los Angeles and maybe elsewhere.
So it took Congress to step into the situation. Now, in turn, state officials are being pulled in to provide testimonies about how California is managing immigration laws, which has turned into a statewide battle over control. But behind the scenes, California's Governor, Gavin Newsom, and other political figures are moving to stop federal intervention. Democrats are claiming that Trump is going beyond his legal powers, pushing the issue towards a debate over whether states should have full control over their immigration policies. But if Trump continues pressing, this may not be a question over immigration anymore. It could end up setting new national laws regarding how demonstrations and riots are to be handled and investigated in the future. This issue, it will not fade quickly. It's a trial run, a structured test, a political strategy that would dictate the boundaries of the federal government and the state power leading up to the next major election cycle. And if Trump proves that the protests were financed and coordinated by outside organizations, we can expect criminal charges to be filed, lawsuits will follow, and financial trails will be tracked if they're going to be looking for all the political donors. And in my opinion, the public conversation is going to shift from protests to a discussion about calculated political moves, because that's what it's really about.
Remember, all the parties in China are controlled by the CCP. So this is China. And the party is pushing to destroy capitalism and the West. This is its agenda. This is what China wants. They even have a term for the effort. It's called the smokeless war, where they have this theory of how they'll destroy the West without actually taking to the battlefield. That's what they did during the anti-Israel campus protests. The PSL worked hand in glove with anti-Zionist student groups and helped organize and fund the Columbia campus encampments. Now it gets scarier. Where does the PSL get its money? Enter Shanghai-based socialist billionaire Neville Singham. 2017, he sold his tech company for about $1 billion. Reports show the same year he started funding far-left groups like the PSL to the tune of millions. Singham is not America's friend. He has deep business ties to the CCP, but also has strong ideological ties to communism, period. People who worked for him says he's an admirer of Mao, Che Guevara, Hugo Chavez, not friends of American culture. According to the New York Times, Singham has funded and developed a deep global empire of pro-China nonprofits in the media and grassroots political space, steering millions into these groups over the years, including the PSL. And guess who was associated with the PSL and other Singham-funded groups? Elias Rodriguez. Ring a bell? This scumbag, the 30-year-old Chicago man who murdered 2 Israeli staffers in cold blood last month to make a political point. Remember, he just waited to be taken in. That is fundamentalism.
If Democrats manage to stop federal investigations from going further, now this battle may even gain some attention going on into the 2026 election, and immigration policies will become more of a major point of discussion in political campaigns. Congress will conduct deeper investigations, reviewing California's enforcement practices and questioning officials. And they will start questioning the official, because this fight between Trump and California is going to come to represent something larger, a dispute between the independence of states and the strength of the federal authority. And do you believe these demonstrations are purely the result of frustration, or do you see it as a larger political strategy that's playing out right in front of our own eyes? What's your take? Let me know your thoughts. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget on your way out to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so you won't miss a thing. Thank y'all for watching.
This is why I keep saying we need to stop fighting with each other when there is a growing threat to kill all of us.